In a quiet, eerie town shrouded by a thick fog, there stood a small, weathered house on the outskirts. Isolated and aged, its walls creaked with the weight of time. Inside, a mysterious and elegant woman and her young son lived in solitude, far removed from the bustling town life. The boy, like most children, was filled with an unyielding curiosity and a thirst for adventure, while his mother, aware of the dark rumors that clung to the town, kept him close, fearful of what lay beyond their door. One cold evening, as the wind howled through the trees and the shadows seemed to stretch unnaturally long, the woman made a troubling discovery. Her son, despite her warnings, had been sneaking out into the woods each night, returning with strange marks on his skin, scratches, bruises, and sometimes even pieces of broken branches and torn leaves clinging to his clothes. The woman's heart sank when she saw that her son had brought home an old, tattered book filled with cryptic symbols. She recognized it instantly, an ancient tome said to summon unspeakable horrors from the depths of the unknown. With a mixture of fear and anger, she scolded him. "I told you not to go there. You don't understand what you're meddling with. Put it down now." But the boy, eyes wide with both wonder and fear, pleaded with her. "But Mom, it's real. I've heard them. They whispered to me at night. They promised they could show me the secrets of the forest. I need to know." Ignoring her pleas, the boy refused to listen. He wanted to prove that the legends were true, that the tales of the woods and its ancient powers were not just stories. That night, after his mother had fallen into a deep sleep, he snuck out once more. Armed with the forbidden book, he ventured into the woods, the full moon casting eerie shadows around him. As he walked deeper into the forest, the wind began to shift, and a strange, oppressive silence fell over the trees. The whispering voices he had heard before were now louder, clearer. They beckoned him forward. "Come closer, little one. We've been waiting for you." But the moment the boy opened the book and began reading aloud the cursed words, the ground beneath him trembled. Shadows twisted and writhed in the moonlight, forming grotesque shapes, some humanoid, others monstrous, surrounding him in a sea of darkness. His heart raced, but the voices continued, pulling him deeper into the unknown. At that moment, the woman woke with a start, dread creeping into her heart. She had heard the whispers too, the same sinister voices that had haunted her dreams for years. She knew, with a cold certainty, that her son had gone too far. Without thinking, she rushed into the night, her instincts pulling her toward the forest. When she arrived, it was too late. The woods were alive with unnatural movement. Her son stood at the center of a swirling vortex, his body trembling as the dark figures closed in around him. The cursed book glowed, its pages turning on their own, as though something from beyond the grave was controlling it. "Mom, please." The boy's voice quivered. His eyes, once full of life, now seemed empty, consumed by terror. His body jerked as if something was trying to take control of him. The woman screamed and rushed forward to save him, but just as she reached him, a shadowy tendril shot out, wrapping around her ankle and pulling her into the darkness. She struggled, but the force was too strong. Desperate, the woman reached for her son, calling his name, but it was as if he couldn't hear her anymore. His eyes were no longer his own, black and empty. They gazed through her, as if he had already been lost to the abyss. Suddenly, a deafening crack echoed through the night, and the ground beneath them gave way. The forest seemed to swallow them whole, pulling them down into the earth itself. The last thing the woman heard was her son's anguished scream before the darkness claimed them both. In the days that followed, the townsfolk whispered in hushed tones about the mysterious disappearances of the woman and her son. The house on the outskirts was found abandoned, its doors wide open, but there were no signs of the two. Some claimed to hear faint cries in the night, carried on the wind, though no one dared venture into the forest to search for them. But the book remained, untouched, lying in the heart of the forest, and the whispers, now louder than ever, continued to call to those who dared to listen.